Welcome all to the weekly outlook. Boone here from EWPRO. So to get started, start with the week. DXY again. Nothing's changed on the daily. We got those 5 down. We got 3 up. And we've gone and broken the trend line. And we've broken this low here. We can sort of maybe look at this as a flat in here, expanding flat, to go and break the top again. But I would really like to see this go and break this low. Whether it does, we'll have a look on the lower time frames. So we got that 333 up here on the H4. We got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So that completes a structure on the H4 as complex correction 333. And then we got this. Like I said last week, we got this larger correction here. Looking at this as the larger correction because it's a lot larger than this. So we have to work out what's going on here. I was looking for this here, a flat, because we had that 3 down. Then we get 3 up, and that's why I didn't really like it last week. But I was looking for this to go and break that low. Price is broken. Price has done all it needed to do in this wave down here, which is break the starting point of wave A, like A, B, C in the B wave, and then we get that C down. I would have really liked to have seen it come and break this low of the wave B, but we never got that. And now it's very much bullish. So as you can see, we got a little flat in here for an A, B, C. And we got that bullish divergence. We got a break of the trend line. Now we've got like a WX. We're in a wave Y. We don't know where this wave Y will end, but then we should get an X2 and then a Z up. So really, if you do get a flag in here, you can look to buy. Get it to break even and hold it. Because we don't know where this wave Y will end, but then we'll get we should get a larger correction, something like this, and then we'll get that Z up. So you can either wait for a flag or wait for the correction and then look for the buy. We haven't broken above this top. That's the problem. But yeah, it's only bullish. You can only look for the buys. Why this trend line here holds. Why this trend line here holds, you can really only look for the buys. AU on the daily. Again, we never got anywhere near that 100 fib on the daily, and we got all this bearish divergence. Bearish divergence here as well. So we got a lot of bearish divergence. I'm looking at this as a B wave. Like we got the A. Now this B wave may not be over. This may be a flat in here for the end of the B wave. And then we get a C down before we go, or that wave B's over. If we go down to the H4, we got the 5 up. We've got these 5 up here. Then we're looking at that as an A, B, C. So we can get another 5 up, like I said last week, to finish off this B wave. we really have to look at this here. If we're going to look for the buy, be very careful. We can look at it as a bullish, like flat. But if we go down to the H1, we got bearish divergence. We have a trend line break and bearish divergence. So, like I said, we can look at this as a flat in here. Sorry, flat in here for this, for an A, B, C, and then we got a trend line break. So if you do get a little bearish setup in here, you can look to sell it, but be very careful, because like I showed on the H4, this all may be an expanding flat to go and break the top. So you really have to be careful. Wait for a nice sell setup. Even you really want to wait for a nice correction in here before you look for the sell, because you may just get an impulse up and then a bullish setup. And if you get that bullish setup, well, you could take that as well to go and break the top. But we're in very risky times. We've got bearish divergence on the H1 and we've got a lower low. So it's very hard to trade these expanding flats. You really need to wait for a really nice setup before you jump into a trade. EU on the daily. So again, we never got anywhere near that 100 fib on the daily, and we got all the bearish divergence. This was a correction in here as well, a 333 in here on the H4. Then we got this 3 up, A, B, C. But this is looking choppy in here. So again, this can go and break the top. So we have to be very careful, because this is looking so corrective. We never, like I said last week, we never got that really nice impulse and a correction to sell. Instead, we're getting all this, like, it's looking very corrective. This pullback here was very deep. This pullback here was very deep. We've only just broken the low. Now we've got getting bullish divergence. If we go down to the H1, again, we've got that bearish divergence on the H1 and a trend line break. This was a very awkward correction. Not many people would have got this as a correction. It's not the way I would have traded, because it didn't give a setup to actually trade it. But again, we've got like W, X, Y. We don't know where this wave Y will end, but we should be, if you get a little bearish flag, you can look for the sell, and be very mindful that we should get an X2 and then a Z down. Yeah, it's getting very hard. I think we have lost the bearish divergence on the H1. Oh no, we still got the bullish divergence, sorry. We still do have the bullish divergence between this low and this low, so be very careful. We're not getting those impulses that we really want to see. They're looking corrective still. GU on the daily. So again, we never got anywhere near that 100 fib. Oh, sorry. This was Z up. And I'm looking at this. This has just broken the top. So I'm looking at it as a B wave. But again, we still haven't got that impulse down, correction, or flag, and give us that C down yet. We're still waiting for it. On the H4, you can see we got this Z up. We got the W, X, Y, X, Z with all the bearish divergence. here we can look at this as a flat in here for an A, B, C, at least a C down. Hopefully it turns motive and gives a Y down, or wave 5, X2, and a Z down. This one can turn motive. But again, we've got a large correction in here. It's looking corrective. All this is looking corrective. So it's very difficult to trade, to give us the direction. On the H1, we got 3 down in here, and then we get this large correction in here. I'm looking at this as a flat in here to give us that at least one more down. Now this may turn into, like, here we got 3 down. So this may give us like 3 down. If you get a bearish flag in here, or even a correction, this one here gave a correction. Didn't give you any sell setup for this here, unless you took the break of that. But yeah, if you get any bearish flag, you can look to sell and at least go and break this starting point of wave A. You want to be at break even here. And you'll be targeting that 100 fib. First targeting that 100 fib. This 100 fib here. This will be your first target. And then you could keep it for the larger sell, because eventually we're going to get that larger correction on the daily. NU on the daily, again, I'm looking at this as a B wave. We got that bearish divergence in the C, didn't quite hit the 100 fib. This is rather impulsive. Again, the wave B may be over here. This is looking rather corrective in here. So if you go down to the H4, like I said last week, I was looking for it to go from here. Last week, it hasn't done that. We got the 5 up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we got an A, B, C in the B wave. And then we got a C down. I was looking for this to go. It never went. So now, this is very tricky. Because now, we had bear, look, I think I said last week, we had that bear hidden. So I said, wait for a really nice flag. We had the bear hidden here. You have to wait for a really nice bullish setup to trade it. We never really got that. Now it's gone and broken the low in a wave Y. We don't have any bullish divergence. So you can only really sell this. You can only really look for the sell at this stage. Why this trend line here holds. So if you do get a bearish setup, you can look to sell. Just be very careful, because we are again getting bullish divergence, between this low and this low. So it's getting very tricky. EUY on the daily. I'll put a trade idea out on this one. So not much has changed. We're looking at the A, B, C, but this again, like I've been saying, this top was never broken in the wave C. I'm looking at this as an A, B, looking for that C down in here. At least a C down, or it can just go and break the low down to this 100 fib. Like I said last week, because we're getting this larger correction in here, more than likely we won't get this to go and break this low over here. H4. So this was the trade idea I put out. I was looking for this A, B, and looking for this C down. Nothing's changed. I still am. First target and your second target is at 161.8. H1, we've got this 3 up, and we've got the bearish divergence. We've got a lower low here. So what I was looking at is we've got a trend in here. It doesn't have bearish divergence. That's the problem. So to sell this, you really need to trend line break and a bearish flag or correction before you can look for the sell. So yeah, you really need to wait for a really nice setup before you sell it, and you'll be targeting those targets, the 100 fib and the 161.8. Use Sheffy on the daily. So on the weekly, we do have that possible bear hidden to go and break this low. Usually, even if we don't see, this was never valid. It never become valid, this bear hidden on the weekly. So even if they don't get valid, they usually give this deep pullback and don't break the low. So on the daily, is really, we've got the high. We've got the bullish divergence and a high. You can really, this is very tricky because we were looking, this bounced clean off the 100 fib. This is where you wanted to get in the sell. I think I put a sell idea out on right up here to go and break this low at that time. You look at the H4. Last week, I was looking for this flat in A, B, C in here to go and break the low. Now this one went and broke the low. And we have all this bullish divergence on the H4. So if we go down to the H1, this again was very hard to trade because it never gave a really nice setup. And because we had all these big wicks, you can only really look for a buy. You know, if you get a bullish flag or a bullish setup, you can look for the buy. There is no sell set up on it at the moment. We have all that bullish divergence. We don't have any bullish divergence on the H1. On the H4, we have all that bullish divergence. We do have a high as well. So you can really only look for bullish setups. So if you do get a bullish setup, because on the daily, we're looking for that 50 fib retrace, or at least the 38.2. Like I said a few weeks back, you know, we're looking for that 38.2 retracement, or the 50 fib. So yeah, you can only look for the buy setups at this stage. UCAD on the daily, this is the only one that didn't. If you follow me, you know that I've said this a dozen or more times. This was the only one that hasn't broken out of the trend line. And I'm looking at it as WXY, looking for that X2 and then a Z down as an extended wave. We do have bullish divergence between, you know, from here all the way down to here. So, we do have that bullish divergence. So we may not get that Z down, but we have to forecast for that Z down because it may be an extended wave. Like I said, WXY, X2, and then a Z. On the H4, I was looking for that C wave, C down. We never got it last week. I was looking for that C down. But like I've been saying, we got this on the weekly, we got this 100 fib. We're bouncing off this 100 fib and it's giving a lot of resistance. So I was never looking for the sell. To trade the sell. I was only looking for buys. Again, this can still be a B wave. It may still be a B wave because we've only just broken this low here. Right? But on the H1, there is no sell setups. There's no sell setups. We've got this. So if you get a bullish flag, again, you can look to buy it. Just be very careful. So sort of got a flat in here. We've got 3 up here. Correction. Then we got 3 up. So be very careful. Again, we didn't have bearish divergence on this either. And yet we got a larger correction. So we got 3 up in here. No bearish divergence. Didn't get the Z up. So and now we got getting the same thing. We got 3 up with no bearish divergence. So be very careful. We may get a larger correction in here again before we get more upside. So wait for a nice buy setup before you look for the buy. For the sell, and like I said, I'm not looking for sells, but if you're looking to sell it, you need that trend line break, flag or correction, something to sell before you can sell it. GY on the daily. Again, nothing's changed. We can get up to this 161.8, like I've been saying for ages. We still have this trend line here, and we have an internal trend line in here. We did get a little cross down here, and we do have that bearish divergence. So it's very risky to be buying, but this is looking very bullish up here. Still looking bullish. We're not getting that sell setup. Like I've been saying, on the H4, we got that extended wave Y. For the WXY, X2, and the Z up, we bounced off that 161.8, hitting the second target. But again, this is looking very bullish still. We haven't broken out of this trend line. So very difficult when we're not getting the sell setups. On the H1, we got the 5 up here. Again, this is looking very bullish. So this is, and it's a larger correction. So again, we may get another 5 up here, up to that 161.8 on the daily. You may still get another like 5 up here. Again, it's very risky to buy. We have all that bearish divergence. But if you do get a setup, and it looks like you are getting a bullish setup. If we look at this here, you got bullish divergence. It's trying to break out of this trend line. This may be a bullish expanding flat. The safest way to trade it is put a buy stop just above the top. If you get triggered, this will be your stop loss down here, and that's the safest way to buy it. Again, you have to wait for a really nice setup, because we do have possible bear hidden. It's not valid to trade as bear hidden. It's very difficult when we get these bullish divergence. We've got bullish divergence here, and then we've got a bearish hidden divergence. So it's very difficult to trade these. Like, it's not giving us a proper direction. It would have been nice if it come up, break this, invalidating the bear hidden, and then give the correction. Then we could all be more confident in buying it, scalping the buy. It's not doing that. That's why I say, if you really want to buy this, I'd be putting a sell stop up here somewhere. A buy stop, sorry. If it triggers you, well, then at least you have your stop loss. If it's not going to go further and it's going to break the low with the bear hidden in play, even though it's not valid, you shouldn't be triggered into the buy. Again, like I say, when we get these bear hidden, even if they're not valid and they don't break this low, they still give this deep correction. Sort of like EWPRO, it's giving that deep correction. The weekly on EWPRO, on the weekly, we got that possible bear hidden, but it's not confirmed, and we're getting that deep correction. Well, this is pretty much the same scenario on the GY on the H1. More than likely we'll get a real deep correction here, and then possibly higher high, or we go and break the low. We don't know which way it's going to break, because we have that bullish divergence and a bear hidden. EG on the daily, again, they're all becoming very tricky because we're not getting those impulses. Looking for that A, B, C. But like I've been saying for, well, quite a while now, got a nice impulse up, but this is it's a large correction. It's a B wave, so it can come down and break this low and still be an A, B, C, and then more downside. Don't know if this C wave's over, because we never got that really nice impulse, and we're getting a large correction. So looking on the H4, we get that A, W, X, Y, X2. Looking for that Z down. We never broke the low. I was looking for that Z down. Again, this is looking like a flat in here. So we could get an A, B, C down, go and break this low. I think it's already broken the starting point of wave A. So it's this is the starting point of wave A, and we've gone and broken in a wave C. If this is the flat, looking at this as a flat. So we've got an A, B, C. Price action's already completed the structure. So it's well, like I've been saying for ages, I'm not looking for the sells. I'm only looking for the buys on this. But we're not getting those nice buy setups. We're getting this large correction in here. So ideally, for me to trade this now, I really need to see this low here broken. Then like a trend line break and a nice bullish correction or flag, and then look for the buy. I need a nice buy setup to be buying this. Not getting that at this stage. EY, sorry. EY, we're bouncing off this 123.6, and we're getting all this bearish divergence. We do have in here, we can look at this as a WX, Y, X2, and then a Z up. Like I've been saying, we don't have any bearish divergence here. And we can look at this as an extended wave C. And like I said, we've got all this bearish divergence as well. So you got to be very careful buying. we're waiting for this X2, like I've been saying. We've got a WXY, looking for X2 on H4 and then a possible Z up. Again, this is looking very corrective. We're not getting that nice impulse down for a trend reversal. So it's quite possible that we do get this Z up. You need to wait for the setup. On the H1, I don't think we got bullish divergence. No, we don't have any bullish divergence. And again, this was very tricky because we had the trend line in here. We got a break and then it comes straight back up. It would have taken everyone out. If you got a sell set up in here, it would have taken everyone out, whether you got it to break even or took a small hit. You know, we got this spike up, so it makes it very difficult. We're not getting those nice setups to trade. And we've lost the bullish divergence. So you can only really sell this. If you get a bearish flag, you can look to sell it. Completing that X2, just be mindful that on H4, it may only be an X2 before we get a Z up. Yeah, so it's more scalping than giving us a solid direction at this stage. Gold on the daily. Again, we got this bearish divergence, bear hidden divergence, like I've been saying for ages. We really need to break that top to invalidate that. So this can come down and give us that Z down. We've broken out of this trend line. And this is looking rather bullish up here still. Go down to the H4. We're looking for this Z up, W, X, Y, X, and a Z. This was a trade in here on the H1. It never went and broke the top. So we're getting all this in here. Again, very choppy. That's why it's very choppy. It's not playing out. If this flat was here to play out as an expanding flat, it should have really went from here, but it didn't. Like I said last week, we got it. We can look at this here now as a flat. So we get an A, B, C flat in here. It's not really. We got a very deep, didn't quite break the top here, this high here. And it's within this impulse. So it's very difficult. You really need to see what direction it's going to give you. Is it going to give you a bear flag for your sell? Or is it going to shoot up and then give a bullish setup? Really need to see, you know, if you're going to trade this pair, you really need to look. Ideally, we get that like A, and this is a flat in here for an A, B, C, to complete this sort of structure in here. So you get that A, complete the B, and then a C up. It's, yeah, really have to wait for the flag to see what we get. There's nothing you can really do on it. We're still within this trend line, this H4 trend line. And we still may get that Z up. It hadn't broken this trend line, so it's very difficult to trade, very choppy. WTI, still looking at this as a B wave. It's starting to get too far. It's still valid. as a B wave, but really need this C down to be buying. We're getting all this bearish divergence, all the way down. So it's very risky to buy. Just getting a lot of bearish divergence on the H4 as well. We're not getting any sell setups. Not getting the sell setups. Here we've got the larger correction. Got a larger correction in here. Or we look at it like this. A, B, C. Then we get that like A, B, C. We're getting bearish divergence. You really do not want to be. I would not be looking to buy this. I'd be looking, if we go down onto the M15 quickly. See, we're not getting any bearish divergence on the M15 yet. So I'll be looking for W, X, Y, X, Z up. Then look for your trend line break. And then look for the sell. That's what I'd be looking for the sell. I'm more interested in the sell than the buy. The buy is going to be risky. Bitcoin on daily. Like I said last week, this is we got a triangle in here. It didn't play out. So on the daily, we've got this WXY, looking for the X2. Oh, sorry. Yeah. This is going to be a larger correction now because it didn't play out. So if we go down to the H4, so on the daily, we only got that WXY down, and now we're getting a larger correction. Last week, like I was saying, I was looking at this as a triangle. So we've got that A, B, C, D, E. We had a nice sell set up in here. I'll put that trade idea out. At worst, it did come down. It never broke the low though, so that triangle did not play out. At worst, you would have got break even if you took the trade, but now we have to look at it a different structure. So I'm looking at it as an A, B, C with a A, B, C in here. We got to, if I go down to the H1, we can really only buy this now. For this C up, we're looking for this C up on the H4. The problem with it is we never got this bullish divergence in here. Now we've got a high, getting a correction in here. If you're looking for the buy, wait for the trend line break, a bullish flag, and then look for the buy. For the sell, you have to wait for this low to be broken. I wouldn't be selling it until this low has been broken. You really need that low broken, then a bearish setup to have confidence in selling it. At this stage, it's very much bullish, and I'd be targeting that 100 fib. I'll be taking half off at that 100 fib and then just letting the rest go. See if how high it goes. It may go to the 123.6. It may go to the 161.8. Yeah. SPX on the daily. So we're not quite at that 100 fib. Still very slow. This is running out of steam. We're getting all this bearish divergence in here. But it just doesn't want to fall over like the indices. They just don't want to fall over. H4, we've got the larger correction in here. Then we've got W, X, Y, X2, and then the Z up. Got a nice impulse down. I'm looking at all this as a B wave, like I've been saying, and I'm looking for that C down on the H4. You see how choppy this is. But like I've been saying, you know, we got these impulses. We got an impulse here, and an impulse here. We got 3 impulses. Then we get the correction. So we get an A, B, C. And then we can get that A, B, C, A, B, C. So this can turn really choppy. Be very careful trading it. So we're getting the bearish divergence in here. This is still looking bullish in here, you know, for more upside. So there is no sell set up on it. Ideally, we get more upside. Wait for your break. I'm only really looking. I can't look for buys up here. You know, it's too risky for me to be buying these. If you're going to be buying these, they're only scalps in and out. I'll be more interested in the sell for at least the C down, like an A, B, C. So I'm more interested in waiting for the trend line break and a bearish setup, something to sell. I mean, you can put a buy stop just above the top here, you know, and if you get triggered, well, that's just stop loss, and you'll be looking for the 100 fib A, B, C, you know, scalping. The DAX on the daily, again, we're not quite at that 100 fib, and we have all this bearish divergence. We've got this trend line here, still hasn't broken. Bullish trend line. H4. We got that 5 up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we got again, we got impulse, impulse. Looking at this as a correction for an impulse up for like an A, B, C. And then we get the A, B, C in the B wave. So I'm really looking for downside, but it's not giving us that sell setup to trade it. You know, if you get a buy setup, bullish flag, well, yeah, you can scalp it, you know, but be very careful, because more than likely we're going to get that like A, B, C. How I'd be trading is more than likely going to give us another bullish flag here, and then another one up. Wait for your trend line break, and then bearish setup to sell. Wait for the bearish setup, or you can, yeah, if you like scalping, well, you can look for the buy on the scalp. The FTSE on the daily, again, we're not quite near hitting that. Oh, sorry, that's the 161.8. So we're starting to get invalid. It's still not invalid for this A, B, C. But if we get above this 161, I've got to call it, and it's invalid pretty much. So we're getting all this bearish divergence. Very risky to be looking for the buy. It's not playing nicely on the H4. We got a W, X, Y, X, and I was looking for that Z up. Again, we got this A, A, A. Then we're getting a B. So we're looking for that A, B, C, A, B, C, A, B, C. And then more than likely we'll get another 5 up after we get this large correction, you know. I think could turn quite messy, but it is looking this in here is looking very choppy. So I'll be more inclined to look for the sells. If you go down to H1, so we're getting this 5 up in here. We're getting W, X, Y, X, and we're getting this Z. We're getting this bearish divergence. So to be buying, very risky. I'll be waiting for the trend line break. Bearish setup and look for the sell. Okay, so I hope you got something out of this weekly outlook. If you did, hit the thumbs up. Doesn't cost you anything to hit the thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe. Enjoy your week next week, and I'll see you out there. Bye.